Sir, the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
This is Tim Lammers, and you're listening to Tim Talks Hollywood. And welcome everybody to this free preview of Tim Talks Hollywood, where every week I'll talk movies with fellow critics, chat with guests about what's hot in film and television, and often feature interviews with actors and filmmakers. This week's episode and all previous episodes are available now on patreon.com/Tim Lammers Podcast. Episode 3 begins with a tribute to the late Stan Lee, who passed away this week at age 95. I did an interview with the Marvel Comics legend in 2007. Here's a preview.
I believe in one of our previous conversations, you said that one of the characters you wanted to see come to life on the big screen the most was the Silver Surfer.
Yes.
Why was that? I mean, that one in particular, because, gosh, my God, you've created so many characters.
I know. Well, it was just, I thought, I've always had a warm spot for the Surfer because he was, I guess you might say, the most philosophical of all of them. And I was able to put a lot of my own thoughts and my own theories in his dialogue.
I also talked with guest critic Dave Schrader, who shares with me the same sentiments about Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. We had a similar feeling about The Crimes of Grindelwald last night, and I thought, actually, Dave, I thought there was something wrong with me when I was falling asleep during the first half of the film. And then I was so relieved for you to come over and you tell me that it was the longest 2 weeks of your life watching that film.
This is, you played a great audio bit from the movie. I'd like to play one of my favorites.
Also, Philip Wise, a.k.a. the Philly Dog, joined me as a guest critic to talk about the new Viola Davis crime thriller, Widows.
You know, you gotta love a movie that's about a heist and it's about crooks, but is everybody a crook?
Well, yeah, and that's just it. Yeah, they're ambiguous characters. Nobody is straight up good and nobody is... Well, there are some people that are straight up bad, but let's just say the good people have issues.
I tell you, it's just like life. It's just like the old dog, and I got problems.
Viola Davis is one of the stars featured in this week's Tim Talks Hollywood bonus podcast, where I pulled up a 2011 conversation about her Oscar-nominated role in The Help.
But because of the riveting subject matter, I mean, do you find yourself getting more emotional? Did you find yourself getting more emotional on this project than you have on other projects?
Absolutely. You know, there's such a personal investment because of the history of the civil rights movement. You know, we shot in Greenwood, Mississippi, just a few miles from, actually not just a few miles, a few yards from the Tallahatchie River, where Emmett Till's body was found 6 miles down in Money, Mississippi, 12 miles from Indianola, which is the birthplace of the White Citizens Council. So it has such a strong and powerful history where people who look like me were brutalized.
Also featured in this week's bonus podcast of Tim Talks Hollywood is a 2009 conversation I had with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince star, Daniel Radcliffe.
You had mentioned in our last interview about there was one particular scene, the climactic scene at the end, I think, in fact, where Gary Oldman said to you, this is like we're Butch and Sundance, and you happen to be Sundance.
I've forgotten that. That's great. That was one of my favourite moments of my life, actually. Thank you for reminding me. That was brilliant.
And that's a free preview of this week's Tim Talks Hollywood podcast. Please join me for the ride and get the full podcast this week and every week by subscribing to Tim Talks Hollywood at patreon.com/Tim Lammers Podcast.